ladies and gentlemen. I'm officially to that point in the summer. I'm officially to the point in the summer where my phone holder starts melting off of my car. It starts like the sticky part, it gets way too hot and it starts melting off. So now, literally, I'm precariously balancing everything on my car, and I might have to get a new phone holder or something because, it's just not sticking anymore. But I'll try to see what I could do. But today, I guess I want to kind of talk about something that I guess I've been beating around the bush for a while, but it's this concept of resetting, of restarting. And I feel like I've been honest the last few times in saying that when I've gone to the gym over this summer, I've not been in the right headspace. I've not been in it where I need to be. I've not been scheduling things. I've not been putting priorities towards YouTube and other stuff. I've been putting priorities in, just working, but not working with purpose, not working with passion, not scheduling my life, and it was taking a toll on me. I wanna be honest, kind of, with people with that about I think it's been probably 4-5 days since I hit a lift. Days, like almost a full week, and it's not because of a sickness, and it's not because of a gym closure. It's just because of my inability to make time. Back in college, I got up, I started this train of getting up early every single day, going to the gym. The gym had a very small window, it was open, and in the evenings I would get there sometimes, but it was always so busy. So in the mornings, that was the best time for me to go. And during the summer, I had this vibe, I had this preconception that was, okay, I want to kind of sleep in, and I kind of just want to take things easy. But in the process of doing that, I was not realizing what changed, what was different between the school year and now. It's summer, obviously, and things are different. It's not like I had the pedal to the metal on me all the time. But why did I need to make this excuse for myself? Why did I change up what was working so well for me? Getting up early, it helped me get more time in the day. Scheduling my life pretty confidently and pretty rigorously helped me with time management and really balancing my schedule. So now, kind of looking back at myself, I was thinking, what's stopping me? What's putting me in this bad place? And seeing the sunrise once again, it puts things in perspective of if you have this thing that's working, why drop it for the sake of for just the sake of dropping it? There was no real reason for me to sleep in, because if I go to bed earlier, I manage 8 hours of sleep. There's if I'm sleeping 12 hours a day, something like that, okay, that's fine, but is that making a difference? I was still tired after I slept that amount. So if you put in a solid 8 hours and don't get on your phone before bed and kind of sleep with that focus and clarity of, okay, I'm going to get good rest here, I don't know, I feel like that's better than just kind of lackadaisically moving through life and not really having your focus honed, not really having your sense of urgency honed. And after skipping so much of the gym, after skipping so much of hanging out with people and stuff, it felt like I was taking a bunch of steps back. You know how it's 2 steps back, 1 step forward? It felt like it was 4 steps back and 1 step forward. And I can't do that. I simply cannot put that labor on myself and my family and my friends and my relationship and just everything. I need to schedule that stuff. So yesterday I stayed up incredibly late, almost till 1 a.m., literally just making a comprehensive schedule for the next week, planning out literally every single second, from the car talks and the drives to every lift I'm going to do for the rest of the week, to when my work shifts are, to hanging out and just relaxing. I'm planning time for myself to rejuvenate and recharge. And I know I need that, and I know it's good for me, and I know that, like, moving forward with that plan, with that sense of, okay, we do A, B, and C to get to this moment, I know it's going to help me out in the long run, because now, I don't feel mentally bogged down by anything. I don't feel physically bogged down if I can get, a lift in and feel better and stuff like that. I don't feel bogged down by this sense of, like, okay, I'm not going to accomplish what I want to today, and I'll just have to, like, shrug it off. I'm not wanting to shrug that off. I'm wanting to get after it and, just go full force into everything. So, it's about 6:35. The gym opened at around 6. I got up around 6, so I'm ready to start the day, and I'm ready to kick things off before I head into work. Okay, I don't really know how to explain this the right way, but there was a guy when I was doing chest, and he's done this kind of like multiple times now, but today I was watching him more accurately. He was doing bench press. He was on the opposite bench, but he was doing it, and he wasn't using weights that were plates. And I feel like I just need to get this PSA out of the way, because I don't want people to injure themselves. This guy, I don't know. I didn't go up to him and, like, tell him any differently or anything, because I don't want to, like, judge anyone. But this guy, what he had done is he was facing the bench the opposite way. First of all, he was, like, sitting backwards. You can't really sit backwards. That's not a good way of doing things. But he was sitting backwards on the bench to face it and grab the bar and stuff. What he had done, instead of attaching plates, is he had kettlebells. He grabbed kettlebells and he put, like, ankle bands, like bands you would kind of strap around your ankles and, like, do, like, banded kind of, like, side lunges or side walks or something. He had used these smaller bands and he had wrapped them around the kettlebells, and then he wrapped the bands around the bar, so he just had 2 hanging kettlebells off of either side that were just kind of, like, bouncing a little bit with the tension of the band. And I was, like, very confused on how this guy was, like, setting up, but I was like, okay, maybe it's weight, it's not the way you kind of should do bench press, but it's weight nevertheless. And so I was waiting to, like, see what this guy would do. And so he bench pressed backwards and he gripped the bar and he, like, lifted everything up. But as he was benching, the weights were just bouncing. They were bouncing as they were, like, going on. And so it was, like, doing all this stuff. And I just, like, couldn't understand. Like, it was bouncing, so I knew the weight, it wasn't going the right way. So, hold on. So he, like, strapped the stuff on, and then the kettlebells were balanced on the bands, and then he just started, like, going up and down, and the kettlebells were going crazy. They were, like, swinging up and down and, like, going to a bunch of different places. And I was like, this is not safe. If one of those came unattached, the kettlebell could have swung off and, like, hit this dude in the face. And I don't know, the weight was unbalanced, and he kept having to, like, adjust to try to make sure the bench press was solid. This is a PSA for all the homies out there. If you're doing bench press, just use the plates, or use dumbbells if you're wanting, like, a little bit, better balance, I guess, for your sake than a bar. But, like, do not attach kettlebells. Do not attach some, like, weird weight attachment or anything. Just, like, look up solidly how to do one form of a workout, and then don't, like, rely on going crazy with some different weight variation. It's not going to really provide a different sense of strength. It's not going to change up things massively. You just kind of need to do things as the machines say to do them, or else you really do put yourself at this, like, risk of being hurt. I didn't really understand it. The guy, I've seen him do it there a couple times, but it's like, kind of those CrossFit videos you'll see sometimes where it's like either people are rage baiting or they're genuinely doing it on purpose, where they're kind of just jumping around, bouncing around, will bounce weight, just kind of, like, mess with it. And you're like, this is not a workout. This is not anything. This doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. But to, like, different people, they're like, oh no, this is a really good hard workout, and they think they're getting benefit from it. And I'm not going to judge anyone, but this one was actively unsafe. So I thought it was a good gym tale to kind of, like, tell you guys, is that I don't know, it's not the move. It's not the move to try to attach kettlebells as, like, weights with, rope or bands or stuff that's just not going to like stabilize, stuff that could easily fly off with, you know, heavy fast motions. And the kettlebells, like, I don't know, I feel like this guy could have benched the bar, or he just could have put like a 5 or a 10 pound weight on it and could have been okay. It's not like he was using you know, he was stacking some type of like crazy thing. The kettlebells were just kind of normal kettlebells. It was normal weight that you could have put on. It wasn't a in-between weight or anything like 23 pounds or something. But I don't know, I didn't really understand. But obviously no judgment, everyone's learning at their own pace. But you need to take some things and kind of relay it to people, especially since I'm a gym content creator. If I see something I know, you know, is going to be super dangerous or something, I'm at least going to let you guys, my audience, know. This guy, he also seemed to have, like, it wasn't like mental problems, but I'm guessing it was like somewhere on the spectrum, and a worker was also kind of coming to help him out, and so I think like the worker was going to kind of like set him straight. So I didn't like go or interfere or anything, but you know, gym safety, it's an important thing to kind of think about, because now that I'm so far along in my lifting journey, it's not something I actively like always am 100% of the time just like thinking about, of like, oh, you know, it actually is this big thing. There actually is ways you can really get crucially injured and be unsafe in the gym. But, you know, I see things like that, and I need to know that, you know, I need to use my platform for good and kind of talk about things now that I have a few more people watching. But yeah, speaking of people watching, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you, homies, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.